Stephanie, your chaplain was able to see into your life spiritually and tell you things that only you would know about?
Yes, he did. In his prayer time. That's what God told him.
That's what he said God told him, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And only he was able to tell that because he was a man of God. Is that what he said?
Yes. He was the chaplain of the hospital, and within spiritual formation, you can become a spiritual director. And that's what he had taken on. So he had become a spiritual director.
Okay. And so,
but you can find that in all religions now.
And he just randomly came up to you. I feel like there's a backstory here.
We had, I had known this man. I had been moonlighting at this facility for about 7 years. And he was so kind. He's like the grandfatherly type, very kind, very personal. And so wherever I was, be it ER or ICU, he knew I was there, he would come and find me. Stephanie, how are you doing?
Aww.
What's going on in your life? And he didn't want to just say, oh, here, okay, I'm good. How are you doing? It was like, no, how are you? Where is God stirring the waters in your life? He was very real. And so he wanted to know. But he would, from time to time, invite me to meet with him once a month as a spiritual friend to see what God was doing in my life. Well, I didn't know what spiritual direction was at that time. I didn't even know what spiritual formation was. I had just come back to my faith and to a relationship with Christ. And because of a very hurtful situation at the time with my family, I was angry with God. And I told him to get out of my life. I don't want anything to do with you, which is very dangerous.
Yeah.
I would advise anybody to do that. Essentially, as a nurse, I had no code order on my life: do not resuscitate, because God can't do what we don't want him to do. So, but fast forward a couple of years later, my grandfather was dying in the hospital, and my family called me and said, if you want to see your grandfather again, you need to come home now, and he may not be alive when you get here. I had a 2-hour drive home from where I lived. And I got there, and I was the very last person to see him. And he asked me to pray for him, and I couldn't pray for him. I was angry with God, and I loved my grandfather, and he was very much a Christian man, and he was good to me, and I couldn't say a lie to him. So my father came and prayed with him, and then the next visiting hour, that's when I was the last one to see him. I'm sorry. I asked him if he wanted to turn over, and he nodded his head. And when I rolled him over, the fluids in his heart shifted, and the line went flat. And so hearing is the last to go, and I just like, Grandpa, I love you. Thanks for being a good grandpa, But that was a divine appointment. God was trying to reach me.